Welcome, everyone, to the awardee information session for the New Jersey State Council on the Arts Individual Artist Fellowship Program. My name is Stephanie Nerbak, known to my colleagues and peers as Steph. I am the Artist Services Manager at the New Jersey State Council on the Arts. And together with my colleagues from Mid-Atlantic Arts, I manage this program and other programs and services for artists in New Jersey. Today, I am joined by my Mid-Atlantic colleagues and partners in the fellowship program, Jackie and Jamie, and I'll toss it over to them to introduce themselves.
Hi everyone, Jackie Dominis. My pronouns are they, them, or she, her. I am the program director for fellowships at Mid-Atlantic Arts. So I manage all of the applications for this fellowship program, and I'm also based in South Jersey.
Hey folks, my name is Jamie Melius. Pronouns are they and them. I'm the grants operations manager at Mid-Atlantic, so I am the person handling now that the awards are final and announced. Me and my team will be the ones helping you with the next steps.
Awesome. Thank you both. I'm so glad you're here and that we're doing this. I think it's a great thing. So the New Jersey Individual Artist Fellowship Program is one of the State Arts Council's programs that directly supports New Jersey artists. And there are other programs and services that both the State Arts Council and Mid-Atlantic Arts offer individual artists. Please visit our websites for more information about what we do and feel free to contact us regarding our respective offerings. Links to our websites are being placed in the chat. Before we get started, I just want to say congratulations on your award. The recognition of your artistry and receiving financial support to continue your creative work is very exciting, but it can also be overwhelming. And we are here to ensure that you have a clear and comprehensive understanding of what to expect in receiving this grant and what happens next. Today, we'll go over what the award agreement is, what is needed to officially accept your award, how and when you will receive your award, and expectations for the grant period. Following this presentation, we will open the floor for live questions. If you have a question you'd like addressed here, please be sure to write it in the Q&A function of your Zoom tabs. And not place it in the chat. It's harder for us to monitor what's happening in the chat with questions, so be sure to put it in the Q&A. All right, today's webinar is being recorded and we will make it available for you for future reference. In our previous correspondence with you, we did provide access to our frequently asked questions document, which covers most of the information we are talking about today. But if you need that FAQ now, it is also being shared in the chat. More information regarding this year's award and its recipients can be found on the Council's website, including a press release and a full list of awardees. Links to both are also going in the chat. All right, so without further ado, I will toss this presentation over to my colleague, Jamie, and we will move forward. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Steph. Hey again, everyone. I'll walk us through the steps of accepting your award. Like Steph said, you'll receive an email when your award is ready for your acceptance. That'll be sent by February 28th, which is late next week. The email will also contain detailed instructions for how to accept your award. First, you're going to log into Smart Simple. That's the same online portal that you used when you applied. When you log in, there's a section toward the bottom called Manage My Grant. You'll be able to select your agreement from there. The email will contain detailed instructions for finding this. Once you get into the agreement, it contains all of the information about your award and will answer just about every question you might have. So please read it carefully. After you finish reading, you can follow the instructions to sign the agreement. There will be an option to sign it digitally or to upload a copy of a paper agreement that you physically sign. You will also be guided through the steps to upload 2 required proofs of residency. You must upload 2 proofs of residency. One of those must include a date stamp on it that is no earlier than January 1st, 2025. Both must include your name and your New Jersey address. Here is a list of acceptable documents to meet this requirement. And you can go to the next slide. Thank you. New Jersey driver's license or New Jersey non-driver ID card, bank statement, bank account statement, credit card statement, a lease agreement, mortgage statement, utility bill such as gas, electric, water, sewer, internet, landline, cell phone, or trash collection, insurance statement or bill such as auto, healthcare, renters, or homeowners insurance, pay stub or wage statement, vehicle registration, tax records or bills, New Jersey voter registration, or a letter issued by a New Jersey public authority such as courthouse, municipality, and elected officials. If the proof that you're uploading does contain sensitive information that you wish to redact or obfuscate, go ahead. Just be sure that your name, your full name, your New Jersey address, and that date stamp remain visible. All right, payment methods. Next, in the agreement, you will see instructions for how to choose a payment method. Your award can be paid electronically via ACH bank transfer or via a mailed paper check. We really strongly encourage electronic payment via ACH transfer. It's very secure. It happens within 1 to 3 business days, and I've seen them happen within minutes. It just depends on the speed of your bank. Maybe your bank's really motivated. So in contrast, a paper check can take up to a few weeks to arrive, and sometimes mail gets lost in transit. So this would leave you wondering where your payment is, and it can also take Mid-Atlantic Arts several days to track down the payment, to reissue a check, and then we're back to waiting for the mail to arrive. So you are very welcome to choose a paper check option, but we just want to make sure you're aware of the risks that come with that option. All right, submitting your agreement. Once you have signed your agreement and you've uploaded those proofs of residency and you've chosen your payment method, you can submit your agreement. Mid-Atlantic Arts staff will review your materials to ensure that nothing was missed. If we do spot any issues, we'll definitely contact you. We'll support that resolution. And if you don't hear from us, you can assume that all is in order, everything's fine. Once Mid-Atlantic Arts receives all that required documentation, your payment will be issued within 60 days of that date that we received your materials. Your award will be paid in full. Again, we do recommend opting for electronic ACH transfer. This is just by far the most secure and fastest way for you to receive your funds. All right, grant period. Grant period, you can also think of this as the period for your finalist or fellowship award. It's the calendar year of 2025. So your award can be utilized for many expenses. They just need to incur between January 1st and December 31st, 2025. Funds can be used for many, many purposes. It's meant to support your artistic endeavors during 2025, and it can also be used as a support for typical living expenses, including but not limited to childcare, rent or mortgage, utilities, and health and wellness costs. It's actually easier for me to list the restrictions on the use of funds because there are only 3. First, your awards funds cannot be used for travel outside of the United States. Second, you cannot use these funds towards the purchase of any equipment that retails for more than $350 US. And third, you cannot use these funds for tuition payments in a degree-bearing course of study. Beyond these constraints, you are welcome to use these funds at your discretion. This award does not come with any creative or work-related requirements during the grant period. You are asked to use one of these crediting statements shown on the screen here during the next 2 years whenever you publicly exhibit, showcase, or perform your work. These statements will also be included in your agreement for reference. Now for fellows only, not finalists, there is a report required at the end of the grant term. This required report is your opportunity to illustrate the impact of the award on your artistic endeavors and your life as artists in New Jersey. The report will be completed in Smart Simple, which is the same system which you applied for, and you'll accept this award. Later in the year, you'll receive an email with instructions for accessing and completing the report. In the report, you will be asked to provide some brief narrative information about your artistic year and a general listing of expenses paid for with your award funds. You will not be required to provide receipts. This report will require an estimated 15 minutes to complete and is due by December 31st, 2025. You can actually access your report anytime after you accept your award. We do recommend taking a look at it anytime throughout the year just to get a sense of what the questions will be. This will make your reporting process smooth and quick at the end of the year. One important note on final reports. It is important to note that failure to submit your report will affect your eligibility for future awards from New Jersey State Council on the Arts and from Mid-Atlantic Arts. We definitely do not want you to miss out on any future awards. So fellows, be sure to complete that report by the end of the year. Your award is considered income and will be reported to the IRS as such. Tax obligations may vary from individual to individual, so we recommend consulting with your tax advisor or a reputable source of assistance with any tax-related questions you may have. Neither the State Council nor Mid-Atlantic Arts can advise you about your individual tax obligations. Mid-Atlantic Arts works with a third-party vendor to issue your 1099 form, and you'll receive that no later than January 30, 2026. If you have any questions that were not answered here, please feel welcome to contact Mid-Atlantic's Grants Operations team. We're at grants@midatlanticarts.org. Be sure to include your award number that's going to be listed on your agreement and your full name so that we can quickly look up your award and answer your questions. Back to you, Steph.
All right, thank you. Thanks so much. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And, whoa, looks like we do have some questions. So I'll read these out loud and we'll go ahead and answer them live. First we have, is there a time frame within which to accept the agreement? I will be out of the country till March 11th and will not be able to do it until I return.
Good question. Agreements are due within 30 days of issuing. If you have an extenuating life circumstance, do get in touch. We can see what we can do to help you out.
All right, next is do you need the whole bill or a bank statement, just the first page with the date and the address information?
Yeah, we just need that confirmation of your full name and your address and the date stamp. So you can crop your image, whatever you need to do. We just need to be able to see that it's, a bill, a bank statement. We need to see the source of what the document is. And you're welcome to redact information, whatever you need to do to feel comfortable.
Okay. All right, I do not see any pending agreement under manage my grant. What should I do?
It'll be there by February 28th.
All right.
It's perfectly fine that it's not there right now. Nothing's wrong.
All right. On equipment, is $350 the total for all equipment combined, or does that mean no more than $350 for one piece of equipment? Good question.
Very good question. Yeah, just one piece, each piece.
As far as the equipment, does that mean in total, or does that mean per purchase of one item? So I think that was the same question that was just answered. So yes, so in
Per item.
per item, yeah. Okay. Right. Can the report be submitted prior to December 31st, 2025?
Yeah, we typically encourage you to submit it within the month of December, just because that helps you answer the questions, thinking about your entire year. That really helps the council and Mid-Atlantic Arts get a sense for the impact of this award and help advocate for future awards. So we'd love to see it in December. It is possible to submit it earlier than that. We just really encourage towards the end of the year.
And we love seeing what comes through in those final reports. So don't be afraid to share lots of things. Okay, does paying for student loan debt qualify as degree-bearing bills?
It is not being put towards a degree bearing course of study. It's not tuition. It's considered a loan repayment. So that would mean you could use these funds for that, which is an answer I love to give.
Yes. Okay. Right. And then again, the $350 equipment limit is for a total of all the equipment purchase. It's for each item. Yes. Okay. Also, can any of the money go into savings or a CD or must be spent in the calendar year?
It does need to be spent. But like we said, there's very few constraints. So think about how you can, use other funds maybe of your own to put into savings and use these grant funds towards typical expenses that you incur.
Can funds be used for construction or upgrades to an art studio?
This would fall into that permanent equipment area of something that really would, even though a plank of wood would not retail for more than $350, we're kind of thinking of a big project like that. Typically, construction or facility upgrades would fall into that area of not being eligible. So I'd have to say no.
Can I use my award to pay for an assistant to help with a body of work?
Yeah, absolutely.
Where do I find my award number? My Smart Simple account is still not updated.
You'll see it by February 28th.
February 28th is the magic date.
Hang in there.
Can you define or clarify equipment that is not eligible?
Sure. Yeah. I use an example of like someone who works with ceramics. You can buy clay, you can buy the materials that you're working with, but maybe buying a kiln is not going to be eligible. Something that is big, has a long lifespan, again, retails for more than $350, is not going to be eligible. So use that $350 mark as kind of your litmus test, and do feel free to get in touch with us if you have questions about anything that may or may not be eligible.
Can the grant be used to hire assistants or other help to support us during the grant year? Yes.
Indeed.
Will we receive comments or feedback on our application from panelists? Can I use my fellowship money to pay for a training program, non-collegiate, that is happening in 2026 if I pay for it in 2025? So I see two questions in one.
Jackie, would you like to answer the first one?
Yeah, sure. So typically we only provide the panelist comments and feedback to folks who are not selected for an award or to finalists. And like part of that is just because we are receiving hundreds and hundreds of feedback requests from the folks who didn't get awarded. So typically, if you are a finalist, you can request that feedback. Fellows usually not.
Jackie, I just wanted to say that Donna Conklin King just commented on your color-coded booklet.
Thank you. It took me a very long time. I appreciate it.
All right, so then part two of that question.
Yeah. Training program, non-collegiate, that's happening in 2026 if I pay for it in 2025. As long as it's not degree bearing, and you pay for it in 2025, that would be eligible.
Great. I am thrilled and honored to be among this year's fellows and finalists. My question is about the restriction in purchasing equipment. I work with microscopes and cameras. Equipment in those categories easily cost more than $350. This is just a fact of life. Is this in this award context, right?
Yes, I feel ya, Ivan. Again, I would think creatively about how you can use your own funds towards that, and then instead use your grant or your award funds towards other smaller expenses in your life. Again, it doesn't have to be artistic. That can kind of offset uh, the expenses in different areas.
Yes, because these also could be used to pay for your everyday living costs.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Mhm. Pay that mortgage.
Mhm. Will we have access to the judge's identity and comments as in the past?
Yeah, so again, same thing here. Finalists do have the ability to request comments from the panelists. And we do share the panelists' identities when we send out those comments. I'm not sure that we have dealt with in the past, Steph, like a situation where the fellows are asking for the panelist identities. I don't think it's a problem to share them because they get shared anyway. Yeah.
Yes, but comments will not be tied to a specific panelist.
Yes.
Those are
Right.
kept anonymous. Can I use the grant for an event I will be doing this weekend, or should I wait till I get the award in my hand?
Good question. Yeah, the your award is for the entire year of 2025. So even though you don't have it in hand, if you have the personal funds and the ability to, sort of front that money and then get, reimburse yourself with the award funds, that's perfectly fine.
Awesome. I am having a plan to shift my house with close locality of my current address in the middle of June 2025 for the 1099, how I send the updated address.
Yeah, you can contact us at grants@midatlanticarts.org with your new address, and we'll just update our system. That email address will be in all of the communications, so don't worry if you don't write it down right now, you'll see it again.
So can you buy multiple items of equipment?
Yep, just keep it under $350 each.
Do we need to mention Mid-Atlantic Arts or New Jersey Arts Council publicly if we are performing in other people's work or just when presenting our own work? I'll answer that.
Yeah.
So really, it's just if you would like to mention us when you are performing or exhibiting with other people's work, but for sure, when you're presenting your own work as an individual artist, yes. And when you receive when your grant agreement is accessible to you, you will read something about proper crediting in that agreement. And it will be in there verbatim what we would like you to say when you do so. What happened if the award in use in one of the restriction, will you need to reimburse?
Yes, that would be a case where we would have to request the amount of what you spent for an ineligible purchase back. So we obviously would like to avoid that. If you do have questions, you're welcome to contact us.
Thank you for that. That was a great question. Front and back of drivers, and is a photo ID okay, or do you need a cam?
I think I know what this is getting at. Just the front of the driver's license. We just, again, need that name and address. And the photo, oh, taking a picture of the license. Yeah, that's fine. It doesn't have to be scanned or anything like that. It can be a photo.
For finalists, there is never a reporting of use of funds.
Correct? Correct. You guys
Yes.
just get the funds and you get to go.
Yeah. Let's see here. All right. Can the funds be used to pay for a contractor such as a freelance cameraman? ND, would we need an invoice or 1099? Meaning, and would we need? Yeah.
Yeah, that's you can use that for personnel, anything that helps you through the year. Will we need an invoice or 1099? I think I'm going to leave that to your discretion. We don't need it, so that's your thing to figure out.
Yeah, if you would need it for your own business purposes to report that, but we don't need that. Hello. Do I need to keep receipts of purchases?
It's not going to be required in the report. I would say it's always a good idea to hold on to, receipts for especially for major purchases. But you will not be required to upload them to the report.
I know the award cannot support travel outside of the country, but can the money be spent to develop a work project that will be presented outside of the country?
Yes, so long as you're not using the funds to travel outside of the country while developing that project.
Can the funds be awarded through a university or LLC?
No, this is an individual award. It's considered individual income, so it has to go to you.
Mhm. Do the funds need to be exhausted within the year? Do we need to submit proof of this?
You do need to use all of the funds in the year. Again, we will not require receipts. We just ask you to provide a general list of how you use the funds. So, for example, we wouldn't be like, tell us every week when you went to the grocery store and give us an itemized receipt kind of thing. It'd be more like, I used them for living expenses. Then here's the total amount for the year.
What is considered permanent equipment?
Fair question. If it retails for over $350, it's considered permanent. It's kind of thinking of it in terms of something that's going to have a lot of longevity. It's going to last a long time. But the technicality of the requirement is over $350 retail.
Can I record an existing work?
I'm not sure what this is getting at. So if that person would like to type back in and give a little more context, we'd be happy to answer.
Yeah, Rufus, go ahead and think of reframing that question, or feel free to reach out to us following the session. Do you use this? So you can use this money to take a class, but not a degree.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Correct. The payment of tuition, does it include individual classes, training, certificate courses, workshops?
No, only if you're going to be earning a degree, the degree-bearing course of study. Otherwise, yeah, workshops, trainings, conferences, things like this are completely eligible for you.
Would a film purchase over $350 be considered permanent and processing?
I think I would need a little more information to answer that for sure. Processing is a service or it's not equipment. So I think that would be fine, but I'd need a little more information to really be sure I'm answering that correctly. More detail.
Yeah. Last time I received an award, we received instruction to let y'all know about what we were up to artistically during the grant year via email. Would you like us to do that this year? Yeah, we would. Keep us posted. And as we at the Arts Council are developing different ways to highlight or promote you and your work, this is good information for us to keep on file. Will we have to have receipts for reporting, or can we just itemize things generally like childcare, mortgage?
That's exactly right. You can just give a general listing. You don't need to upload any receipts.
If you are making an album, can you use this media? Can you use this media distribution, CD and vinyl?
I would think so, as long as you're not, buying the vinyl printing thing yourself, you're probably fine.
This is probably dumb, but we can use it to go, but can we use it to go out and celebrate this grant with food and drink?
Please do. Enjoy.
Love that question. Okay. So if you don't siendo the award within the year, what will happen with the rest?
Oh, perhaps spend the award within the year. What will happen with the rest? You would have to return those unused funds. So we do encourage you to use all that money.
Yeah. Sometimes it's like, who knew it would be a challenge, right? But
Yeah.
it might present a challenge to think, particularly when the award is a higher amount.
Mhm.
Can the funds be used to compensate or collaborate, or to commission music, scenic art, costumes, and will be used towards a project?
I think that's acceptable. Yeah, you're compensating a person, so that would be fine.
Mhm. Can it pay for fabricator help, bronze, etc.?
I think so. If a fabricator is a person, that would be fine. I'm not deep in all of the disciplines that are out there, so I just want to make sure I'm answering
Yeah, I
correctly.
think that, yeah, I mean, if you need that fabricator to do XYZ to create your sculpture, right? Yeah, do it. I have moved since applying for the program, but I am still in New Jersey. Is it okay if my proof of residence has a different address from the address I applied with and or from the address on my license?
Yes, as long as it's still in New Jersey, no problem.
Can the money be used for promotional material or a product such as a book or catalog of my work?
Yep. Just make sure if it's promotional material, if it's a big billboard or something, that's the only thing that comes to mind, something that might be over $350. Otherwise, you're fine.
Is there a list of the jury committee for each category? Jackie?
There is. Again, I would defer to you, Steph, on like sharing it out or
Yeah, I think um there is a list. There's no formal or public way that we currently have of sharing that information. Um but provided folks on our jury, our panelists committees are okay with sharing their identity, then yes, of course. Again, if you receive what the feedback is, the feedback will not be tied to individuals. That is kept anonymous.
yeah. And I'll just add also that we say, even when we send it out to folks who are requesting feedback and we send them the list of the panelists, we specifically request that no one reaches out to any of the panelists. And that would be the same thing for the fellows, even if your intention is to thank them. We ask that you don't try to get in contact with them.
Thank you, Jackie. If I use the funds to hire collaborators and pay myself, do I need to create a W-2 or 1099? Do my collaborators need a 1099? Is there some way I need to report this income a second time?
I would say this falls into that area of tax advice. So please either talk to your tax advisor, locate a reputable source that can give you this kind of guidance.
Yes, absolutely. We can give you very general feedback on taxes, but you always need to follow up with an actual tax professional. If I am planning to use my fellowship award to document my project by way of a recording project, should I issue 1099 to those performing on the project? If so, How do I go about doing this? Well, it seems like this is a good question for people, and maybe it's a topic of discussion for some other kind of professional development. But yes, again, this enters the realm of tax advice, which we aren't asking for those sorts of documents. That is not what Mid-Atlantic is needing for reporting. But if it is a question for you, that is a professional question to ask a tax professional. Is there any preference on our use of the funds using the grant for living costs versus art? Preference?
I can
No.
speak to the requirements, but in terms of preference, I think we just want you to live a good year, whatever that looks like for you.
I mean, we'll always be interested in seeing what art you're making, but we want you to use these funds to be financially supported over the next year in the way that it works best for you.
Well said.
Will we have to provide proof of spending the award?
No, you will not need to upload receipts. Just provide that general list in the report.
Would it be okay to use the funds to take a workshop out of state?
Yes, just not out of country.
Great. Can we request feedback even though we did win? And if so, how?
Traditionally, traditionally we haven't done that. I mean, again, we can decide right now, Steph, if you'd like.
Sure. Yes, I mean, if that's something that would be of interest to you, yes, it may not be earth-shattering commentary, but it might provide you with some insights. And if it's something that you want, then I mean, they should be available to you. So make that request and just be patient in getting it.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Is I would just also caution that we already ask for 2 weeks turnaround time to get that feedback to the folks who were rejected and to finalists as well. And we received 940 eligible applications this year, and so far are up to almost 300 feedback requests, which is just me doing it by hand to each individual person. So if you request that feedback, please bear with me in terms of timing, because it may be a week or two before you hear back.
All right. Could I use my funds to pay for my studio rent?
Yes.
Absolutely. Where can we find the list of jury members? So those lists are kept with Jackie, and they're not made public as of now. If you are curious about learning who was on the panelists committees that were put together and assembled by Mid-Atlantic Arts per discipline, reach out to Jackie, and we can see about which of those jurors are willing to share their identities. Also, can I use the award for rent and studio space?
Yes.
Yes, you can. Same spending rules for finalists. Finalists can apply again when a medium category comes up next year.
So first question, yes, same spending rules, same constraints. And I'll defer to you all for the eligibility question.
Yes, so finalists do receive a much smaller base award, but they are eligible to apply in the next year that a disciplinary category is applicable to their work. Can I use my award money to create a music for my works and also to pay the artist who is part of creating music?
Yep, absolutely.
If I purchase a piece of equipment that is more than 350, can I use 350 and pay the difference myself?
I would advise against that and instead think about using your own funds for that piece of equipment and using the grant funds for other things that you would have ordinarily used your own funds for.
Great advice. Is there any rule in terms of social media announcing or maybe preferred image of organization or something? Sure. So in your artist agreement, which will be coming by the end of the month, you will see some guidelines around crediting. If you are to, there is no requirement around using our logos, but if you are to use our logos, I would reach out to one of us to find out what the proper logo is before doing so. I am unclear how to use the funds, how the use of funds are reported. Do we need to submit receipts, bills by the end of the year?
No, you will not have to submit any receipts or bills. There will literally be a place for you to type in the category, like type general type of expense and the total that you have spent on that type of expense. It's just a list, general list.
Rental equipment can go over 350, correct? Since it's not permanent.
Correct.
That's good. That's a good differentiation.
Yeah.
If I develop an artistic project using the funds, can I pay myself as a creator? How do I do an invoice for me?
You can, pay yourself. Invoicing will leave to your discretion how to handle that. Again, you may want to check with professional advice on that.
And also, we won't ask for that invoice. So if
Correct.
that's something that you want to keep for your business records, that's probably a great thing to do. Can you keep track of your hours and pay yourself an hourly rate of income?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine.
That sounds great.
Hmm.
Would you travel to workshops and conferences? Would travel to workshops and conferences be covered?
Yes, so long as that travel happens within the United States.
Is there any way to get in touch with our fellow award recipients? Oh, that's really a cool question. Interesting. Well, there is no contact list, but there is certainly a list on the website of the full awardee list. Everyone who was awarded is on our website. I suppose if you were so inclined, you could figure out how to reach those folks. We are sort of on the back end at the State Arts Council working on ways that we can evolve the program to be a little bit more in community with one another. But those are still plans that are in the making. That's a great question. Film processing of color film costs $3 per sheet. Bulk 4x5 color films retails for roughly $1,300 and is more cost effective for me. Thank you.
Yeah, I certainly understand. This is where we do have to fall back on that $350 threshold and encourage you to think about how to use your personal funds and the grant awards in combination for different things so that you don't, cross that eligibility line but can still be financially effective.
Okay. All right. I have heard in the past there have been shows including the works of finalists. This is something that will happen this year. So I'll answer that. The council has had a history of doing fellowship showcases for different disciplines. That is something that we will not be doing live showcases anymore as our program has gotten so large that it is not feasible or actually manageable to do those sorts of showcases anymore, which is the piece I was speaking about for just recently, in that we're looking at different ways and new ways to highlight, uplift, and connect fellows and finalists who are awarded through this program. Can I use the funds to pay down credit card bills?
We don't have, constraints against that. I would say if you're using a credit card to buy a large piece of equipment and then using the funds to pay that credit card bill, we'd run into an eligibility question there. So keep that $350 requirement in mind, but you can pay your credit card bill with it.
Can I use this fund for studio rent in other country for my work?
I might need to get back to you on that one. Would you mind emailing us that question?
Yeah, Preksha, give Jamie an email and connect with them about this through email, and they'll get to the bottom of that question. That's a really great question. Thank you. In wellness, acupuncture, massage, sauna included. So I love
Yeah.
it. Do it.
Be
Oh my
well,
God.
friend. Be well.
Yes. If a sculpture will be composed of more than $350 of bronze, would this be considered permanent equipment?
I'd say no. It's a work of art.
It's a work
It's a
of
little
art.
different. Yeah.
If like a permanent piece of a piece of equipment to create that work with that bronze were purchased, that would be the permanent equipment.
Right.
Is there a form or email that we will receive to submit our spending, or do we just send an email statement at any point during the year regarding the reporting of our expenditures?
So, assuming that you are a fellow and not a finalist, the answer to that question is that there is a report due at the end of the year, and that is submitted through that Smart Simple platform. That's where you applied for this. That's where you're going to accept your award. So you'll go back into that system, and there's a report form there for you to complete. So you do not need to email us anything. You'll just go right into the system and do it.
How do finalists go about requesting feedback?
Just drop to the email address in the chat there. It's just fellowships@midatlanticarts.org. Just all you have to write is that you're requesting feedback on your application. Just make sure that your name is either in your email or in the body of the email, so I know whose feedback I'm looking for.
Thanks, Jackie. If I use my fellowship to fund an equity workshop production of one of my plays, I'm assuming I can use the funds to pay all expenses for that, such as actor and director and crew stipends, as well as theater rental expenses.
Yes, that's eligible.
Oh, great. Congrats, everyone. Many thanks to New Jersey State Council on the Arts. Will grantees have the opportunity to meet each other through a council organized event? That's a great question, Shanika. We are working on ways that we might be able to do that in the future. There's nothing currently planned, though. Can you explain what the differences are between a finalist and a fellow? Sure. Jackie, or I'm happy to take it.
You can go ahead. You're good. You got it.
Okay. Well, okay. So a finalist are applicants who did panel very well. So the panelists, scored them fairly highly. They thought their work was good. It was just below the level of where the council is able to fund a full fellow. So it was just below the mark of where the work would be considered a fellowship. And we want to be able to award those folks who scored in a particular range. That would be considered our finalist tier of funding, and to give you a nod and say, hey, keep going. You were recognized, do this again. And it could be that you are an emerging artist. It could be that you're someone who's just applied many times and have been in those tiers or have been in those levels before and had never been recognized. We wanted to take the opportunity to recognize those artists whose work scored just below a fellowship, the standard of a fellowship. So moving forward, While a fellow will have to withhold from applying for the next 5 years, a fellow, it has the opportunity to be eligible again the next time their discipline is in the loop. Will there be any ceremonies or parties, get-togethers for all of us to meet and network? Again, I'm so glad to hear that there is an interest to do that. And it is possible that we will be planning something like that, although right now there is nothing in the works. This is a follow-up to my previous question. Would a film purchase over $350 be considered permanent? And processing. Film processing of color film costs $3 per sheet, right? I think we had seen this comment previously. Bulk 4x5 color film retails for roughly $1,300 and is more cost effective. Thank you for your patience with all my questions. I'm so humbled and honored by the award.
Yeah, I think we answered this one, but one, if you have further questions, do feel free to email our team.
Does receiving this award this year mean we will not be able to apply again in the following years? So it's assuming you are a fellow and not a finalist. Yes, you will not be eligible to apply again for the next, I guess that's like next 2 full cycles of the program. So it's 5 years. You can apply again. It just, there's a holding off and a waiting period before you are eligible to apply and receive another award. Do finalists have to show proof of spending the grant?
No, and in fact, finalists will not have to complete a report at all.
Speaking of taxes, if my tax advisor suggests I set aside a portion of the award to cover taxes, does that count as an expense from the award? I'm thinking about paying taxes on the award versus using all the funds during the award year.
We had the same question last year, and I confessed I'm not quite remembering the answer. So I'm going to take this one away. Bob, I do encourage you to reach out to us with this question, and we'll get in touch with you. I just need to make sure I'm answering correctly.
That's a very interesting question, though. Thank you for that, Bob. I saw someone ask if it can be used for savings. I couldn't hear the answer. Sorry.
No problem. It has to be an expense. So just putting it into a savings account would not qualify. So again, think about your personal funds, these award funds, how you can use your money maybe to go into savings and use those award funds for your other typical expenses.
Can I apply for any other grants and awards by Mid-Atlantic Arts or other organizations? Will I have less chance of getting the second award because I was awarded this?
I can speak for Mid-Atlantic Arts. No, it won't be taken into consideration if you apply for other grants. I can't talk about every other organization out there, but that's the answer as it pertains to Mid-Atlantic Arts.
And I mean, the same could be said for the Arts Council. So for example, if there were other opportunities such as our Heritage Fellowship or other folk arts and folk and traditional art project grants, you could absolutely still be eligible to apply for those and win awards. Those are might be the same agency or institution, but it's a different opportunity. Can we apply in the same category in 2 years when it is available? Same category in 2 years. If you are a finalist and haven't won a fellowship, yes. Can I announce my award from the council in my portfolio and participations? Yes, and we would ask that you do when you are exhibiting or performing or putting out events as an individual artist. And in your artist agreement that is forthcoming, it will describe what is required of that. Okay. Do you know when the 2026 categories will be released? Jackie?
Yeah, absolutely. So the end of May is when the guidelines or rules and instructions for the 2026 round will be up on Mid-Atlantic Arts website. It is the same 2-year category rotation schedule. So it's the categories that weren't offered this previous year. I can paste them in the chat if you just give me 1 sec.
Thank you. Looks like we're getting towards the end of our list of, we've got 7 open questions. Let's see if we can get to all of those before we conclude in the next couple of minutes. How often does the panel change and how are people asked to be on the panel? Well, Mid-Atlantic Arts does that work and they do it vigorously, recruiting folks from across the United States to be part of our process. But Jackie can speak to that a little bit more specifically.
Yeah, sure. So we go through a process of researching folks, new folks each year to participate as panelists. We do our very best to make sure that even within each artistic discipline, that there is a wide range of background, experience, I would say like genre within the genres. So for a music composition panel, for instance, we wouldn't just have 3 jazz musicians. We would try to vary that and have, folks who are in different categories within that category. But they are typically different panelists each year from a variety of places in the country and variety of backgrounds and experience, but who are considered to be experts in their field, I should say.
All right. How about finalists reporting on spending? Is there an email or form to expect as well?
Finalists are not required to report on spending or submit a report at all. So you don't need to worry about that one.
Yeah. A bonus to being a finalist, I guess. Can a fellow apply in a different category the next year? No, you cannot. It's any category at all for the next 5 years. If you are a fellow, can you apply sooner than 5 years if you apply in another category? Same answer to the same question. No, you cannot. Just wanted to let you know that this was a very big honor for me. It will be great if a ceremony can be arranged and the certificate of honor can be given at the ceremony, which we can share with our friends and families and social media if permissible. In fact, all my people are waiting to see the pictures of the ceremony. Well, great. Thank you for that feedback. It's good to hear and know what it is you want. We'll see what we can do. My tax person also suggested I do the same. Could you please include us on a follow-up to Bob's question on Geraldo?
That would be difficult logistically one. So I'd say email us. Similarly, it's what I said to Bob. Email us with that question and we'll get back to you.
Yes, reach out. It's very difficult for folks on the back end to keep up with questions. Sorry if this was asked, but can you submit within 5 years if it is a different discipline? No, Gabrielle, no. Will there be an in-person event to meet the fellows and finalists? Will there be a performance or event to celebrate the fellows? Right now, as of now, we do not have anything scheduled, but we are in the midst of trying to figure out ways we can connect the cohort of fellows and finalists. Thanks for that feedback. If we received a fellowship, can we apply to a different discipline next year? For example, 25 poetry fellow apply to the 26 prose. No, Joe, that is not permitted. Sorry. Can I use the funds for project materials I'm doing in another country?
That should be fine. No problem.
Wow, we answered 101 questions or took 101, of whatever. Lots of questions. That's great. Thank you. We are now just 2 minutes past the hour. Everyone, thank you for coming. A recording will be sent with other materials like the frequently asked questions. Everyone's contact information will be made available to you so you can follow up with questions to the grants team at Mid-Atlantic Arts. Yeah, thanks everybody. This was great. Have a wonderful day.